is up. Yeah, right now I feel like talking about Aristotle and his Nicomachean Ethics. You know, I've been reading it. I haven't read all of his works, but you know, his ethics particularly interest me because, you know, he talks about what is happiness and how do you get to achieve happiness and what is the best life to live, and you know, fundamental questions about human existence and what it is to be human and what is the way to go about being a good human being or an ethical human being. So, you know, fundamentally, you know, he's got some good arguments and some sound advice. So, but anyway, I'm gonna read a little bit from another book that talks about Aristotle's philosophy. And yet, as Aristotle developed and young men crowded about him to be taught and formed, more and more his mind turned from the details of science to the larger and vaguer problems of conduct and character. It came to him more clearly that above all questions of the physical world, there loomed the question of questions. What is the best life? What is life's supreme good? What is virtue? How shall we find happiness and fulfillment? He is realistically simple in his ethics. His scientific training keeps him from preachment of superhuman ideals and empty counsels of perfection. And Aristotle, says Santayana, the conception of human nature is perfectly sound. Every ideal has a natural basis, and everything natural has an ideal development. Aristotle begins by frankly recognizing that the aim of life is not goodness for its own sake, but happiness. For we choose happiness for itself, and never with a view to anything further. Whereas we choose honor, pleasure, intellect, because we believe that through them we shall be made happy. But he realizes that to call happiness the supreme good is a mere truism. What is wanted is some clearer account of the nature of happiness and the way to it. He hopes to find this way by asking wherein man differs from other beings, and by presuming that man's happiness will lie in the full functioning of this specially human quality. Now the peculiar excellence of man is his power of thought. It is by this that he surpasses and rules all other forms of life, and as the growth of this faculty has given him his supremacy, so we may presume its development will give him fulfillment and happiness. The chief condition of happiness then, barring certain physical prerequisites, is the life of reason, the specific glory and power of man. Virtue, or rather excellence, will depend on clear judgment, self-control, symmetry of desire, artistry of means. It is not the possession of the simple man, nor the gift of innocent intent, but the achievement of experience in the fully developed man. Yet there is a road to it, a guide to excellence, which may save many detours and delays. It is the middle way, the golden mean. The quality is unnecessary, but when men are just, friendship is still a boon. A friend is one soul in two bodies. Yet friendship implies few friends rather than many. He who has many friends has no friend. And to be a friend to many people in the way of perfect friendship is impossible. Fine friendship requires duration rather than fitful intensity. And this implies stability of character. It is to altered character that we most attribute the dissolving kaleidoscope of friendship, and friendship requires equality. For gratitude gives it at best a slippery basis. Benefactors are commonly held to have more friendship for the objects of their kindness than these for them. The account of the matter which satisfies most persons is that the one are the debtors and the others creditors, and that the debtors wish their creditors out of the way, while the creditors are anxious that their debtors should be preserved. Aristotle rejects this interpretation. He prefers to believe that the greater kindness of the benefactor is to be explained on the analogy of the artist's affection for his work, or the mother's for her child. We love that which we have made. And yet, though external goods and relationships are necessary to happiness, its essence remains within us in rounded knowledge and clarity of soul. Surely sense pleasure is not the way. The road is a circle. As Socrates phrased the coarser Epicurean idea, we scratch that we may itch, and itch that we may scratch. Nor can a political career be the way, for therein we walk subject to the whims of the people, and nothing is so fickle as the crowd. No, happiness must be a pleasure of the mind, and we may trust it only when it comes from the pursuit of the capture of truth. The operation of the intellect aims at no end beyond itself and finds in itself the pleasure which stimulates it to further operation. And since the attributes of self-sufficiency, unweariedness, and capacity for rest plainly belong to this occupation, in it must lie perfect happiness. Aristotle's ideal man, however, is no more metaphysician. He does not expose himself needlessly to danger, since there are few things for which he cares sufficiently, but he is willing in great crises to give even his life, knowing that under certain conditions it is not worthwhile to live. He is of a disposition to do men service, though he is ashamed to have a service done to him. To confer a kindness is a mark of superiority. To receive one is a mark of subordination. He does not take part in public displays. He is open in his dislikes and preferences. He talks and acts frankly. Because of his contempt for men and things, he is never fired with admiration, since there is nothing great in his eyes. He cannot live in compliance with others, except it be a friend. Compliance is the characteristic of a slave. He never feels malice and always forgets the passes over injuries. He is not fond of talking. It is no concern of his that he should be praised or that others should be blamed. He does not speak evil of others, even of his enemies, unless it be to themselves. His carriage is sedate, his voice deep, his speech measured. He is not given to hurry, for he is concerned about only a few things. He is not prone to vehemence, for he thinks nothing very important. A shrill voice and hasty steps come to a man through care. He bears the accidents of life with dignity and grace, making the best of his circumstances, like a skillful general who marshals his limited forces with all the strategy of war. He is his own best friend and takes delight in privacy, whereas the man of no virtue or ability is his own worst enemy and is afraid of solitude. Such is the Superman of Aristotle. So, to me, those are some true words of wisdom, and I think that, that he's kind of not necessarily hit the nail on the head, but he's headed in the right direction as far as trying to achieve, the higher ideal of what man should be and the possibilities for man. Because me personally, I don't believe, like a lot of people will say, well, men are inherently wicked and that our very nature is evil. I don't believe that. I believe that men might do evil things or bad things, but there's something within all of us that has the capability or the contingency to rise above mediocrity and to, not necessarily to be successful as in being rich, but to be successful and rich in spirit and in knowledge and in wisdom and understanding. So, that's all I gotta say. Peace.